What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and for today's WWE news video, holy shit, there is a lot to talk about. With the fallout from SummerSlam this past Saturday, there is a lot to talk about, including the latest on Royal Rumble 2022 taking place in February? What the hell's up with that? WWE potentially having off-site specials for 2022. John Cena confirms his WWE departure. There will be more info on that as the video progresses. And this first one that we're going to be talking about, major updates for Becky Lynch upon her return. So if you guys remember, Becky Lynch returned to WWE after over a year. At SummerSlam this past Saturday, challenging Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's title. Originally, it was supposed to have been Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, but because that Sasha Banks was unable to show up, excuse me, WWE replaced her with Carmella. But then, from out of nowhere, we heard the O's, and Becky Lynch shows up. And apparently, from what I've been hearing, apparently she's now going to be SmackDown's top heel going forward. But the funny thing about this whole thing, the last time that they turned her heel, it completely backfired on them, because she ended up becoming the top babyface of the entire WWE Women's Division. Because if you remember, at WrestleMania a couple of years ago in Jersey, she pinned Ronda Rousey to win both the Raw and the SmackDown Women's titles, making her the first woman to hold both titles in a single career, which has never happened before. So as far as we know, apparently they're gonna make her the top heel on SmackDown. And as I said before, Belair was originally said to defend her title against Sasha, but WWE had revealed that Banks was unable to compete, so they replaced her with Carmella, and then again Becky Lynch came out, and the match just went by quick in a matter of seconds, and this whole the man thing came about, if you guys remember back in 2018 when she turned on Charlotte Flair after Flair became SmackDown Women's Champion in that triple threat match, which I think I did I do that one? I think I did. Let's see. Going backwards. Yep. I remember there was 13 matches on that card. That was match number 7. Yeah, so I remember Charlotte Flair had pinned Becky Lynch, if my memory serves, to win the SmackDown Women's title, but unfortunately that didn't work out so well for Charlotte, because Charlotte got attacked by Becky Lynch. And she portrayed as a babyface ever since, but the original plan back then was that they were going to turn her heel, because she was always a babyface, even from her days in NXT. The fans loved Becky Lynch, and now for her to come back as a heel, I really don't know. That's kind of interesting, because if you were to look at the pros and cons of this whole situation, if she were to become a top babyface like she was before, it would mean that she would be defending the SmackDown Women's title against all comers, and this whole thing would end with her defending the title in a fatal 4-way. It would be Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, and Carmella. Because if you guys remember, originally it was supposed to have been these two, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. But then Banks was taken out, so Carmella stepped in. And out of nowhere, Becky Lynch came out and became SmackDown Women's Champion. It would make sense for all 4 women to face off, potentially, maybe at our next pay-per-view, which I think is going to be Extreme Rules. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it likely? No. It's probably not going to happen, but it'll probably just be a triple threat match, and Becky Lynch might win. But if you guys remember, we had not heard the music of Becky Lynch since last May, and at that time, she was the Raw Women's Champion still, and her last match in WWE was at WrestleMania on night 1, where she had rolled up Shayna Baszler in a pinfall to retain the Raw Women's title. And last year's WrestleMania, 18 matches on the card. There were damn near 20 matches, but it was only because it was at the Performance Center. So it kind of makes sense. I don't know, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 months. 4 or 5 months that WWE hosted their pay-per-views inside the PC, which is insane. There was also another card that I had on here, Takeover Tampa, but everything just kind of went away. We never got Takeover Tampa, so it was kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. But it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, that was the last time we saw Becky Lynch compete in WWE, and for her to return now, it makes so much sense because the SmackDown Women's division has dwindled down so much with the fact that there were a lot of female talent last year and even this year ended up getting released because of the pandemic. So for Becky Lynch to come back, absolutely incredible. But if you look at the cons of her becoming, remaining a babyface, a lot of backstage heat. There's gonna be a lot of backstage heat. There's gonna be a lot of people who want her to turn heel. But even if they did turn her heel, those same fans are gonna want her to become a babyface. So WWE is basically at a crossroads, And as far as her becoming a heel, the pros of it, backstage heat, a lot of social media heat. But the cons of it is basically the same as the cons of becoming a babyface. So we will find out how this will all play out tomorrow night on SmackDown. I've heard rumors that Becky Lynch will be present tomorrow night on SmackDown, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. WWE is discussing off-site specials for 2022. So what do I mean by that? Well, basically, if you guys remember, if you guys remember, throughout the entire pandemic, there have been multiple matches that took place outside of WWE. For example, let's go here. So, for example, we had Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a Boneyard match, meaning it took place outside of WWE grounds. The Fiend versus John Cena, that took place outside of WWE grounds. We had the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches. Both took place. Both had took place on top of WWE headquarters in Stamford. We had Adam Cole versus the Velveteen Dream for the NXT title. This took place outside of WWE grounds because it took place in it actually took place in a parking lot brawl, if you will. And it was actually for the NXT title. And then of course, to Extreme Rules, we had the swamp fight between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, and we've had several like other different matches, throughout the whole pandemic, which also included a Firefly Inferno match as well. Absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But we had so many different types of matches. Now WWE actually plans on hosting more events that are outside of WWE, and what I mean by that are venues that don't involve arenas, if you will. Which involves baseball fields, and several others, and there was a tweet from WrestleVotes. No copyrights here. You guys know how all this works. Big shout out to WrestleVotes. They actually sent out a tweet saying quote with the success MLB had with the Field of Dreams game last week, WWE has begun very initial discussions about doing a few offsite events in 2022. Some ideas discussed within Creative included Raw on the roof of WWE headquarters, of course, Hammerstein Ballroom, and more direct festival shows a la Rolling Loud. So if you guys have not heard of the Hammerstein Ballroom, you guys are in for a treat, because the Hammerstein Ballroom has been home to multiple ECW shows, which included not one but both pay-per-views called One Night Stand in 2005 and in 2006. Honestly, I like the idea. The only downside to this whole thing is the fact that there's gonna be that with Raw on the roof of WWE headquarters, no fans. There's gonna be no fans, which is not good, by the way. Hammerstein Ballroom, there's gonna be a lot of hostile fans that want ECW, and then Rolling Loud Festival, people are gonna get bored. That's the only thing, in my opinion. Ooh, ow, my neck. But honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the ideas. It's just not going to work out. It's just not going to work out, in my honest opinion. But, um, but there's also been rumors of Monday Night Raw being hosted on top on the roof of Titan Towers. Is it possible? Yes. Is it going to happen? Yes. Are fans not going to be able to watch it from that roof? Exactly. They're not going to be able to. That being said, speaking of 2022, there's been reports that next year's Royal Rumble will be taking place in February. What in the hell is that about? Well, according to some reports, there's been a quote unquote significant internal discussion about the Royal Rumble taking place in early February. You guys know that the Royal Rumble always takes place at the end of January, which leads into WrestleMania. Apparently, this would be the first time that the Royal Rumble would take place in the second month of the year, as the annual pay-per-view. Again, as I said before, traditionally would take place in January. As far as we know, apparently St. Louis, Missouri is supposed to be the current home to the Royal Rumble, and we don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but we do know that officially, and this has been confirmed, Survivor Series this year will take place on November 21st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and it's been reported as well that The Rock is supposed to return to WWE and to potentially set up a match for WrestleMania. There's been rumors going around saying that could happen, but you never know. If this is the case, it's either The Rock will either go after Bobby Lashley or after Roman Reigns. My guess, potentially Roman Reigns, because if you were to choose Bobby Lashley and the WWE title, it's not going to end well. Legitimately, it's not going to end well, and The Rock could lose his career, whereas opposed to Roman Reigns, who knows Roman Reigns better than The Rock? Honestly, in my opinion, the way I see it, if the Royal Rumble does take place in February, this would mean that they would have to push WrestleMania back an additional month, because you guys know normally WrestleMania would take place in like March, April, like right around there. This would mean that they would have to push WrestleMania back a month to May to the month of May, and they would also have to put as well, Backlash or potentially Money in the Bank, literally just a week later, at least 1 week later after WrestleMania. Is that possible? Yes, it happened before last year when we had SummerSlam and Payback in the same month, and the reason being was because it wasn't because of because of any of the other matches that were on the card. They did this so they could put the Universal Championship on Roman Reigns. That was the whole that was the whole dynamic of it. That was the whole point of Payback taking place in the same in the same month as SummerSlam. That was the whole that was the whole dynamic. So that is the only con about the whole scenario. But we will find out. We will find out what happens. What happens as the months progress. But only time will tell. But now, apparently, we have to say goodbye to John Cena because he's done with WWE. He took to Twitter and said, quote, "Words cannot describe how appreciative I am that the WWE universe allowed me the opportunity to return and perform. Thank you, staff, superstars, and most of all, fans, for giving me an unforgettable summer at home with my family. The journey takes me away, but now I'll see you soon." Yeah, it's done. He's done. We won't be seeing him at all for potentially for the rest of the year. But the only reason is because he has a number of TV shows and movies to deal with in the future. So it is likely that he will come back in 2022. If he does, he will once again challenge for the Universal title. If The Rock were to challenge Roman Reigns and he becomes champion, we'll get John Cena versus The Rock once again, which I wouldn't mind that. Honestly, I would not mind that because they're at one apiece. So the rivalry has to continue. One of them has to become the top dog, basically. So not much else to say. Except the fact that there's rumors that he tends to pop into WWE at least once a year. And as I said, perhaps he'll get another run in 2022. But yeah, that brings me to the question of the day. What are your guys' thoughts on Royal Rumble taking place in February of 2022? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE news videos, which gets posted every Thursday. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description. If you guys have fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.